The Orlando Magic finished last season 34-48. But despite this sub-500 record, they were one of the more interesting teams in the league. Most of that interest, of course, lies in the players on the roster. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Markelle Fultz, and Wendell Carter Jr. headline this super young squad and will be a large focus of today's video. Each of the four bring a playstyle independent of each other that gel into this one cohesive core that I think will make the playoffs in 2023-2024. We will talk about their strengths, we will talk about their playstyles, and we will talk about all of the young stars in the making. Today, we will talk about the Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. Two extremely talented, versatile wings that can produce great numbers in great ways. I will use this section to break down their skill sets and how they come together as a tandem on the court. Franz Wagner is a third-year player out of Michigan. He is a 6'9", 6'10" versatile wing who can find his own shot off the dribble, play at the rim or on the perimeter, and move without the ball. Last season, he averaged 18.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists on 54% from 2 and 36% from 3. And one of the things I liked most about what we saw last season was his ability to attack the basket and hit at an efficient clip. Franz took a massive leap between his rookie and sophomore seasons, seeing a 5% increase in his shots made from less than 5 feet. He's great at using his length to split screens and using that swipe through / sweep through move in order to get to the paint. He's also great at using that length to go up and over defenders as a finisher, oftentimes extending his full length to lay the ball up softly. And also, I like his use as a pseudo point guard at times, bringing the ball up and initiating the offense. I'd say he's pretty solid at commanding PNR actions. He lacks some acceleration and speed to turn the corner around the screen, so that's not always an option. But a lot of the time, it is usually just him going through and bodying up someone on his way to the rim, so just as effective. But as a passer and creator out of these PNR actions, I really like his play. He has a soft touch on his passes that allow him to throw nice lobs to players like Wendell and Paolo. He's got nice vision on the corner kicks, smart transition passing, and he's got a couple of last-second hang passes out for open threes. And because Franz is so tall, and the rest of his teammates are as well, there are many other passing lanes available to him. I think Franz is a fantastic second option, and his own ceiling is quite high. Now, let's talk about the guy that I think has an even higher ceiling. His partner in crime, his wing on the right side, it's Paolo Banchero. I like Paolo. I like his game, I like his jump shot, I like his tenacity when he gets to the rim, and most of all, I like his boundless potential as a player and person in this league. Some of Banchero's strengths include mid-range isolation play, rebounding on the defensive glass, his finishing ability, and playmaking in the half court and in transition.
Chance to tie or take the lead. Gonna tie it up. Banchero.
As a number one option, I like the outlook of his career. His playmaking is something I definitely wanted to highlight a lot because, of course, if you didn't already know, I am a huge fan of good passers and playmakers. Paolo, much like his teammate Franz, knows how to operate a PNR as a ball handler and, more importantly in my eyes, as a roller. He has the ability to hit the crevices with bounce passes or throw lobs over top of the defense to one of his many long targets. If you've been watching FIBA play this August, you'll notice that a lot of Paolo Banchero's minutes have been run at the 5 with Team USA. Watching him operate from the free throw line as sort of a connecting passer / playmaking hub at the middle of the court really gets me excited because I think he can be utilized very similarly in this Magic offense. And, also watching him operate at this level, at this role with the amount of high-level talents around him makes me so eager to see his development for next season. And speaking of development, a lot of these center minutes have given him some defensive development as well. I'm sure you've seen a couple of Paolo clips on Twitter of him getting some massive chase down / help side blocks. He's 6'10", 250 pounds, athletic as hell. He's got the archetype to be a really good help defender, and I think Team USA is putting him in positions to where he has to get better at that in order for them to win. And I think that'll translate really well to Magic play. When we take a look over at Basketball Index, shout out to them, first of all, because their subscription model and the data that you get for $5 a month is amazing. This is not an ad, by the way, but it's very, very worth it if you are a basketball junkie. If we look over at Paolo Banchero's overall player profile, a couple of things do end up popping out. First of all, the C+ shooting grade. Obviously not the greatest perimeter shooter, because we can look at these numbers now. A lot of D+, a lot of C-. He generally just struggles to knock down the perimeter shot, which is weird because once he steps in a couple feet to the mid-range area, he's about a 40% mid-range shooter. You'd love to see this three-point shooting improve, obviously, with the amount of times he handles the ball in that Magic offense. You'd love for him to be able to knock down the shots because he creates them. It's just a matter of knocking them down at this point. His combination of size, strength, agility, ball handling ability, and overall athletic ability is going to lend itself really well to this Magic offense. Now, while your two stars are vital to playoff appearances, it is the rest of the team that is going to get you over the hump. Markelle Fultz is a 6'4" point guard whose greatest strengths include slashing to the bucket, hitting his open teammates, and playing passing lanes on defense. When looking at his fit alongside Paolo and Franz, one of the questions that pops immediately, how does his lack of three-point shooting fit into this? The Magic as a whole were bottom 10 in three-point percentage, sitting at 34%, and could definitely use some improvement if they want to get to the playoffs next season. Although, Markelle Fultz has increased his three-point percentage up to a career-high 31% last year, so it is a bright spot to look forward to. There is some upward trend happening in that department, and I think that is something that can be used as a ray of hope.
Fultz attacking the baseline. 15-foot jumper. Good! And a foul!
And we know with bad shooters, defenses like to sag off, thus forcing the non-shooter to be involved in other ways. One of those ways is making themselves a cutter. Markelle Fultz has this trait and uses it greatly to mitigate his lack of perimeter shooting. And when he does cut to the rim and get the pass, he's more than likely going to make the shot, shooting 63% on shots under 5 feet. His ability to outpace defenders and get up to the rim first in transition is at a very high level. He's got a trusty spin move that he uses to flow into acrobatic lays or short-range push shots, and generally, he's just quick to get to his spots. He's got a great change of speed, he can turn the corner around screens, he's got shifty moves to avoid hard contests, all that sort of great stuff. When watching Magic games, another thing I really liked noticing was them using Markelle Fultz as as a screener and a short roll decision maker in the offense, either setting a screen for Paolo or Franz and being able to take it all the way to the rim because he is such a tremendous finisher. And as a passer overall, I really, really like Markelle Fultz. Because of the lack of space on his drives, he's had to get really, really creative in terms of finding the small crevices, the gaps, the wraparound passes to get to a roller or to a cutter when he doesn't have his own finish at the rim available to him. He finds out how to contort his body around bigger opponents. He learns how to go up and around them. He's just a really smart finisher and a really smart player when he gets inside the paint, whether it is scoring, whether it is playmaking or passing the ball. It's a part of his game that I hope gets recognized just a little bit more next season. I know we know him as a pretty good passer in general, but I'd like to see his, the level he does it at be talked about a little bit more. Wendell Carter Jr. is a 6'10", 270-pound unit that anchors this Orlando Magic defense that was ranked 11th in the league post All-Star break. What can I say about Wendell other than he is the desired modern-day center? He shoots the three ball at a 35% clip, which includes a 44% on his corner threes. And speaking of high corner three percentage, it adds another element to his game that is a little more foreign to the center position, and that is being able to attack closeouts from the perimeter. In fact, his comfort and overall ability to put the ball on the floor out on the perimeter is very impressive for his size, and it will definitely open up this Magic offense even more over the course of his tenure. Chicago really goofed, didn't they? He protects the paint. He ranks in the 99th percentile when it comes to rim shot making, so you know that he is a reliable finisher on those lobs, on those cuts, on those rolls, etc. His fit with the amount of good passers on this team really makes me happy, and I think it is a very seamless fit with Wendell also having the three-point game being with the rest of these guys on this roster. Because this video is my proclamation that the Magic will be making the playoffs this season, I want to take a portion of their last season that showed me a tremendous amount of potential when it comes to playoff hopes. It was from December 7th to December 17th, the Orlando Magic went on a 6-game winning streak after just being on a 9-game losing streak. These were all pretty quality wins. There were 2 against the Raptors, there were 2 against the Celtics, there was 1 against the Hawks, and there was 1 against the Clippers. All really, really solid wins for the Magic that showed me a couple playoff team traits that I think can translate into this next season. In this 6-game span, there were 3 games where they shot over 40% from 3. There were 3 games with 8 or more steals. They shot an average of 86% from the free throw line, and they boasted a defensive rating of 107, which, if extended throughout an entire season, would have ranked first in the NBA. And now, in order to demonstrate some of the things that make me say that they're going to be a playoff team, we're going to look at this 6-game stretch and we're going to take a playoff team trait from each individual win that show me that these guys might be ready earlier than expected. In the game versus the Clippers, the Magic ended the first quarter down by 18, and then they went on to win the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and the fifth quarter. Outside of holding the Clippers to 41% from the field, outside of forcing 15 turnovers, outside of holding PG and Kawhi to 25 combined points, they showed the mental strength to not lay down to their opponent, especially during the midst of a near 10-game losing streak during a rebuild season. There's a lot to not play for. And I think the playoff team trait that I want to highlight here is showing mental toughness during a seemingly meaningless game. You're going to need to win a lot of games in the regular season that you either A, have no motivation to win, or B, don't matter to you. You need to be able to pull these out, especially if you're a team that's in a phase where there aren't many large expectations. Take advantage of that. One of the perks of having a dual star lineup with compatible skill sets is that you're more likely to have those 2 stars have good to great games at the same time, really putting pressure on the opponent in different ways. We see it with stars like LeBron and AD, Jokic and Jamal Murray, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, Giannis and Drew, etc. The playoff team trait I want to highlight for these 2 Raptors games is Franz and Paolo's ability to play well off of each other. I think we've seen times where 2 stars have very similar skill sets, and then it leads to a one-dimensional offensive attack. And it also negates the ability to run 2-man actions between your 2 best players, which is something that just won the Denver Nuggets a championship. It's much harder to find a mismatch through switch manipulation when the 2 guys that the defenders are switching onto are the same exact player. Moving on to the game versus the Hawks, the thing I want to highlight from this one is the first quarter. It's because the Magic scored a franchise record 50 points. This team that was not near a top 10 offense exploded for 50 in a quarter. And they showed a lot of good process offensively in terms of staying disciplined when running their actions, not trying to force the issue, always willing to make the extra pass, that sort of stuff. I mean, they also ended up knocking down 6 of their 10 threes this quarter. They made 12 of their 13 free throws. They had 4 steals, they had a block, and they caused 7 Hawk turnovers that led to fast break opportunities. This is a lot. A lot has to go right for you to put up 50 points in 12 minutes. And obviously, I'm not saying that they will hit like this often, but it's nice to know that they are at least capable of this type of firepower. So, the playoff team trait here is explosive offensive capability. Not only is this impressive because they ended up getting 2 more wins, but because it was against such a high-level team in the Boston Celtics. And I know that my answer for the playoff team trait here might be a cop-out, but the trait is being able to beat competition that is tiers above where you are. When we are talking about playoff teams, we are not just talking about the top of the brackets. We're not just talking about the 1, 2, or 3 seeds. We're talking about the lower teams that have to steal some games on the road. We're talking about the lower teams that might have to just play above their means if they want to have a chance at winning a series. And the Magic pretty much owned the Celtics last season, And having that good of a matchup against A, a team in your conference, and B, a perennial Eastern Conference Finals team gives me a ton of good vibes for the Magic. And Orlando also gives fits to elite teams like the Denver Nuggets through a combination of physicality and length, a couple of other traits that go a long way toward postseason success. Overall, I will absolutely be watching the Orlando Magic this season. They are a fun, young, energetic team that plays some really good basketball if you can get over the fact that they have a losing record. I believe in the high ceiling of this team, of Franz, of Paolo, of Markelle, of Wendell Carter Jr. I believe in the bench pieces like Cole Anthony or Jalen Suggs, whatever they chose to do with them. And I believe they are going to surprise some people. Much like the Sacramento Kings of last season, taking the world by storm and really showing that, hey, we're here, we're ready to compete. I think the Magic will do something similar. I'm not saying that the Orlando Magic are going to be the 3 seed. The Orlando Magic are not going to jump up to the 3 seed. They're not going to jump up to the 5 seed. I don't think they're going to jump up to a top 6 seed. I think they will be a play-in team who wins a couple of games to get into the playoffs. That's all. I'm not saying their rise will be like the Kings. I'm saying it'll be something akin to it. The regular season's right around the corner. The preseason is even closer. And there's a lot to watch with the Magic. Will I be wrong come April? Will I be vindicated by a Paolo Banchero All-NBA season? Will the Magic make the playoffs and outpace the likes of the Toronto Raptors and the Chicago Bulls? I'm not sure. We'll just have to see.